Jeroboam consecrated his own priests and disregarded or discarded the Levites, who were set apart by God to be priests in Israel. Now, that should be understandable, because Levites have their allegiance to God, not to a king, and they will not serve the idols that Jeroboam has set up. So Jeroboam needed people who would obey all the silly, sinful instructions he was giving. So easily he just discarded the Levites. Now, but most of our spiritual fathers, strange enough, they do the same thing. Our fathers in the faith today, a number of them do the same thing. They choose people who are not educated, people who are not intelligent enough, and they put them in lofty positions that they are not qualified for. And there's a reason. Let me go on so that you understand. I'm not saying it's wrong to relate with people who are not educated or intelligent, but there are things that each person is qualified for. The reason why they do what they do is because they have discovered that those caliber of people can never challenge them. They can never challenge their error. The things that they are doing that is faulty, none of those people will challenge it. In fact, those people cannot intentionally resign from such positions. They will stay there until you remove them by yourself. And because they are threatened, the leaders are threatened, they don't want people who will say, "Sir, God has spoken to me." No, they look for people who will not hear God and put them in position. They prefer to make individuals who have no relationship with God to stay in positions of leadership, because those who are close to God may challenge most of unscriptural actions that they take. And I'm warning you so that you will not do that. For every assignment that God has signed, He has prepared some people to work with you for it. When He raised when He raised Moses, He had raised Aaron, He had raised Miriam, He had raised Joshua, He had raised Or, He had raised Bezalel, He had raised Oholiab. These are people who are intelligent, who are capable of assisting Moses. God raised them. God mentioned their names to Moses. It was not Moses who chose people who would make him happy. He didn't choose yes people, sycophants around himself, people who never do well, who will never question your judgments. When you do that, you become the God of your work, and God will live it for you. Don't choose people who would just approve whatever you do. I was I was reading a news about a certain pastor in Nigeria who announced to his church that God had given him an assignment to get every woman pregnant for a new glory that was coming upon the church. So God had instructed him to get every woman in his church pregnant. He should be the father of their children. And he announced it in the church. And of course, that's not the problem. The problem that interested me there was that the women were available, they were ready, they were going to meet him to get them pregnant. Some of them took their children along also. So he got the woman pregnant, he got her children also pregnant. Some husbands brought their wives to him and their children for him to get them pregnant. By the time the story came into the news, none of you have read that story. You have read it? Okay. By the time the story came out, many of the women in his church were already carrying his pregnancy. And I asked myself, okay, how did that church get to that kind of situation? Forget about whether they have God or they don't have God. Even if it is just common sense that they are operating by in that church, how did they get to that level? How come there was not one single person who can say, "Excuse me, pastor, this one you are saying is out of sense. Now, talking spiritual, how come there is no other person in the church who could hear the voice of God and say, no, God did not say that aspect. Yes, God is using you to raise a new crop, but not by sleeping with them. There is nobody in the church. Because he has gathered people who will say yes, sir, to him every time. I pushed that a little further. And I read the story where David saw Bathsheba bathing. The woman was bathing. David was in the balcony of his house. And he was looking at the woman bathing. Now, it is not strange if your house is high ransom. It's not strange to see things like that. It does happen. Because some people are careless. Some houses don't even have bedroom. Some, they have some things they call bedroom that it is closed. They just tie clothes on the door. It's so open to anybody looking from. So, I hope architects are here who design houses. Design houses that are sensible, not silly houses. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, but that has happened already. They have built the house. And David was on top of the balcony of his house looking, and he saw. There are some fashion designers who design clothes also that display people's nakedness like that. A fashion designer design things that are sensible, things that will glorify God. Anyhow, David have seen it. Let me go to my message. Then he called some of his assistants. He said, come and see. And they went. And they were all looking at the woman also, to the extent that one of them recognized her and said, this is the wife of Uriah. This is Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah. And David now sent them, go and call her for me. They know what David was calling her for. They knew who she was, and they encouraged David to go on. There was not one that could say, Oga, you dey craze for her. Wetin dey happen to you? This na Bathsheba wife now. Even if you are going to kill me, I will say my own. How can you say we should go and call her? Call her for what? There is nobody who can ask David questions. They went and called her and urged him on into his trouble. When you have assistants who cannot ask you questions, you are in trouble. Because I have discovered that people like that, whatever you want to do, nobody will stop you. You just find yourself tumbling down and down and down and down. And the day you are destroyed, there will be the regret will be your own and your own alone. So when you have people around you who can ask you questions, and they say, excuse me, sir, this thing I'm thinking of, why don't you let us do it like this? Celebrate them, encourage them, keep them around you. They will help you to be a better leader. We have a saying where I come from. They say, and when you say somebody is a grown-up man, they say he's a wise man. The reason why he's wise is because he had gathered wisdom from all people, all kinds of people around him. What I'm saying to you is this: you must learn to allow people's wisdom to promote you, to help you to become what you are supposed to be. Don't drive people who disagree with you away from you. Don't see them as enemies because they disagree with you. Allow them, because God brought them into your life so that they can give you another kind of reasoning that will make you a better leader. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name.